Hey everybody, welcome to week two. All right, so week two, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about resumes this week. A lot of you probably already have your resume, maybe most of you do, some of you don't. This is going to be an opportunity for you to start playing with and kind of experimenting with the resume writing process itself. For those of you who do have resumes, and again, I think it's probably most of you, we're going to talk specifically about tweaking our resumes to fit certain job openings. We don't often think this way. We think like, oh, I've got my resume, it's here, spick and span, perfect, like the way it looks, right? And that's all I need to do. But you really need to start thinking about how you can really kind of maximize your resume's potential by tweaking it a little bit to make it fit certain job openings. Um, Even in a certain field, criminal justice or social work or education, there are going to be certain distinctions in certain job openings, and you're going to want to maximize, kind of what your resume can do to highlight certain things for a given position here and a given position there. The majority of it may still stay the same, but you're going to want to tweak things a little bit here and there. It's not rare to have a handful of resumes that you have, right? Same stuff generally, but things are organized maybe in a different way. You start with your education, then your experience, or maybe you have your experience and then your education at the bottom. There's lots of different ways of doing resumes. So this week we're going to really focus our attention on that, especially in discussion. We got a couple other assignments that we're going to be working on beyond discussion, but I do think that this topic is a really very important one. It's covered pretty heavily in this week's lecture. So really take your time on this. Really take your time. When it comes to general kind of resume stuff, just a handful of things pop out that I'd want to tell you about now. Make sure that you're checking for grammar. The worst thing you can have is a resume with some mistakes in it. Make sure you're consistent in terms of, say, bullet points. Do you have periods at the ends of all of them? That kind of thing. Are you capitalizing the first letter of each one? Those kinds of things. Little things like that are not that little when this goes to an HR manager and they're looking it over and they're like, this is sloppy. Done. So make sure you do that, okay? Consistency is another thing as well. Make sure it's substance over style. Sometimes people want it to be really stylish and all sorts of cool stuff in color. That's okay to a degree, but really it's the substance that matters most. Okay? Try to be honest with your resume as well. Don't make stuff up. We'll address kind of like gaps in resumes as well. What do you do with that kind of stuff? But don't just kind of toss fluff in there, stuff that is just there to make kind of beef up a resume that seems a little thin. People can see through that very, very quickly. So just a couple things to be aware of. We'll have more to say about this as the week goes on, but really take this seriously. Take a lot of time to kind of see what your resume looks like, kind of see how it speaks for you, and then start thinking about, okay, how can I tweak things to maximize or to highlight certain things within my resume for a given a job opening. So it should be really interesting. I think the conversations we're going to have in discussion should be really interesting. Hopefully a very fruitful experience and week overall. You know where to find me if you have questions, any kind of concerns that you may have about any of this week's materials, just reach out. Thanks, folks.